So to me, and like you said, there's different ways to plug in. But then what I've also seen over the years is people that may have plugged in for a while, but then they unplug. They think that they can do this by themselves without the plug, and it ends up becoming tragic, and to the point where they're back eating all manner of pus and mucus forming foods. Diseases are all over the place. They're like, we'll never go to a doctor. Now they're going to doctors and they're getting diagnosis. They're getting pills, and in some case they're leaving the planet earlier than they otherwise would have.
And they happen to be that kind of personality because I'm not going to say that they can't get there. Like, there's people who are self-motivated, people who can read the book and do this thing, but that's the one place where me and you disagree slightly, because what I'm saying is you're the person that could read the book and have nothing else, no conversations, no plug-in, no nothing. That's 0.1% out of 100%. That's one, and that's me. And that's you, and that's it, and that's Khalid. Right. So to have us all that close, I mean, I believe that, but I understand what you're saying, yeah. And it's not like I'm trying to discourage that. I'm not trying to discourage. Right.
That. Well, and I know what you mean, where it is possible. It's just unlikely for most people.
This is Michael Jordan, LeBron James type of stuff here, we're dealing with. To practice the mucus diet and to be committed to it like that is, that kind of thing, man, where you have to really, I'm a believer in the system, just the system. A lot of people, man, dib and dab. And sometimes it works for those who practice the mucus diet. It works. I just am 100% the system. I don't go there and go there. That don't necessarily mean that I won't. If I went through a crisis or some kind of fall that I needed to do something to save my life, he did. But Vic wasn't that. He wasn't gonna do anything. He was staying straight mucusless diet. I mean, like, he just could not see himself going over into Western medicine for any kind of help. That's him. I really understood that. I really understood because I knew Vic so good, and I just understood how his convictions were and why they were like they were.
But then now one of the lessons, things that I observed that I would have to say, like you wouldn't be able to say this, but I can say from what I saw having, dealing with Vic, dealing with you. And this was, I actually was going to do a whole video on this eventually where I talk about the so-called the seven deadly sins but more as a philosophical jumping off point. But it's said that the worst sin of all is pride or pridefulness. Now, not being proud in the vernacular way that we use it today, but that kind of hubris to the point where once you think that you got it and you're not letting in any new information, or you're, where you're really that narrow thing. And I always thought if that again, as we're not bringing this up now because we talking the plug-in, where with Vic, since it was one direction where you call him and you're talking to him and there's the interaction, the dialogue, but when it came to him plugging it back in your direction to like pick up on what you were bringing to the table, the innovations that you were making in terms of the practice, he dropped the ball on that.
I don't think he perceived it in that way either.
Well, I don't think he did either. This is how I perceive it as a
I don't think Vic thought like that.
No. I'm doing 20 years later and having been a fly on the wall observing. Right. because I'm just looking. I'm like, you had brought all these innovations in terms of the practice. So he had the philosophy and the whole way that you think about the world. I mean, he had that together. You had brought practice, like how you actually do this, how you can the kind of mindset that you can have to actually really push yourself and have a lot of progress.
Dude, that's what I think that's what I was supposed to do. I don't think that was what he was supposed to do.
No, but what I'm saying is he could have learned from you. You know what I mean? I know.
To be something that just isn't how Vic operates, man.
No.
He was Vic. Vic was one dimension. He and I accepted that. I accepted all of what he was about. Still learned from some of the things. You're over there in spirit world, man, if like trying to get inside Vic's head, let Vic go, man. Let Vic alone. Let him.
Well, I say it more. It's more so to me. It's a lesson everybody can learn. Just like, because I look at Vic, for anybody that does know, like all the Socrates and Plato. Like Socrates let himself get killed. He didn't have to die. Like Socrates literally was going to go down with the ship because of the convictions of his philosophy, the convictions of his, he just was not going to budge. And so he would rather them murder him. That was Vic. That's what I'm saying.
And then the whole turnaround on this was that his transition, he looked at it a trip.
Right.
Like to get high. I guess what they're doing now is the mushrooms and the psychedelics on that level. He literally looked at it like a high. Like, okay, like, I'm gonna transition out. That's all right. Thanks but no thanks. Hey man, would you do that? I was like, and that was the time, one of the times that he actually called me. See, now it was that kind of way. He didn't call, you had to call. But that time he actually called me. And he's like, I was like, well.
Which is when something's really wrong.
It was something. It was something he wanted. Like he came over, did the 8.5 months. And he lived there. He had to make a trip over to the house to see.
Right.
Let me go see what, because I think the buzz had got around to him. And, so he came through the house with some excuse to be there. He was like, so something with the car, And so yeah, man, it was Vic was another kind of cat, man. I mean, he was one of the great people. He was one of the great people that passed by us that we had a chance to know. I don't know a lot of people that could be as individual as him. He was an individual, boy, that was on his mark, man. And and the backstory. When we write about that, and you see the backstory of coming up and going through things and things that he was dealing with while we were around. That's some other stuff. Like it's some stuff that could damage people for life. It definitely had an effect on him, but he dealt with it in a way that I guess it was how he dealt with it, man. How he dealt with it. Yeah, I remember that.
That was the day over at the house in the basement. He cleaning out all the stuff in the basement, and he.
Hey man, you want to eat the pickles?
Yeah, I mean, we had these jars of 50-year-old jarred vegetables. That is what they did in the fruit cellar down in the basement that had just never been used and never thrown away. And so we started cleaning some of that out. And he saw one of the jars. He's like, "Oh, these are still good. I mean, these are 50 years old." He's like, "Nah, give me that." And he took the jar, opened it up, he smelled it, and, he started eating. He's like, "See, it's good." That he literally picked one up and held it toward me like, "You want one?" I was like, No, thank you. I'm good.
That's big.
I'm good.
That was another kind of cat right there.
Now I was fasting at the time anyway, but yeah, that was don't have the opportunity to get around. It's like you call it characters.
That was like the real plug-in for us. I mean, like for everything to bloom in terms of practice of the mucus diet. He was the plug-in. He was a motivator too. He was doing things that was like, you talking about somebody exhibiting, man. I mean, just the way he carried himself. He didn't do anything but him. Beautiful cat, man. Beautiful cat. Still had one of the greatest tones on saxophone that you ever heard.